The Nissan S30 is a sports car produced by Nissan from 1969 to 1978. It was the first generation of the Nissan Z car and is one of the most successful sports car lines ever produced. The S30 was sold as the Nissan Fairlady Z in Japan and as the 240Z in other markets. Nissan had intended to compete head-to-head with European sports cars, pricing the new 240Z within $200 of the MGB GT in the US. Datsun's growing dealer network, compared to limited production and imported sports cars, ensured both easy purchase and ready maintenance. The 240Z also broadened the acceptance of Japanese car makers beyond their Econobox image. The Fairlady Z was released in Japan in late 1969 as a 1970 model with a 2-liter L20 straight 6. The engine, based on the Datsun 510's 4-cylinder, produced 130 horsepower and came with a 4-speed manual transmission. The Fairlady lineup included the Fairlady ZG, released in Japan in October 1971 to homologate the 240Z for Group 4 racing. It also came with the Fairlady Z432 with a 157 horsepower S20 from the Skyline GTR, with some of the 420 Z432s being used by the police in Japan. The 240Z was introduced to the American market by Itake Kadeyama, president of Nissan Motors USA operations in 1970. The US models were introduced in October of 1969 and received the L24 2.4-liter engine with a manual choke and a 4-speed manual. A less common 3-speed automatic transmission was optional from 1971 on and had a Nissan full automatic badge. The 240Z had 151 brake horsepower and a top speed of 125 miles an hour. The 260Z was sold in the US for the 1974 model year only, but was available in other countries until 1978. The engine was enlarged from 2.4 liters to 2.6 liters by lengthening its stroke. In the US, federal emissions regulations forced a reduction in ignition timing and compression ratio, resulting in a lower power output, being 140 horsepower, despite the additional displacement, whereas in other countries the power output increased to 165 horsepower. There was also a 1974.5 model sold through the second half of 1974 in the US that had the full 165 horsepower with the addition of the larger 5-mile-an-hour safety bumpers that would become the standard for the 280Z. The 280Z was released for the 1975 model year. In a further effort to keep the S30 model sporting in the face of increasingly stringent US emission and safety requirements, engine size was again increased, this time to 2.8 liters. The L26 engine was bored out to create the L28, and a Bosch L-Jetronic fuel injection system was added. Canadian versions were uniquely equipped without the anti-smog components that were mandatory in the US. For the 1977 model year, 280Zs no longer received a full-size spare tire, and instead had a space-saver spare and a larger fuel tank. This resulted in a raised rear deck area made of fiberboard, reducing cargo space. In 1977 to 1978, an optional 5-speed manual transmission was available alongside the 4-speed manual and 3-speed automatic options. The 280Z was the last of the S30 chassis Z car, being replaced by the S130 280ZX.